like almost the 7 strings almost all paid for, and the 6 string Holcomb guitar, once it's paid for, then whatever. But this is like 3,700 bucks worth of it. But I bought a really good. I'm glad I didn't. The Throne guys, if you're gonna go cheap on the cymbals, that's fine. Go cheap on the drums, that's fine. But spend the money on, especially if you're an older guy like me. I'm 50, so I'm not father time, but yeah, you do feel things. That has been a really, really good investment. I know it's not as the comfiest throne, but it's like the second comfiest throne I've ever sat on. There was another one there that was like 600 bucks or whatever, and that thing was awesome. It was like a gel seat or whatever. But that there, it's very taut, it's very stiff, and supporting, so you could sit there for hours, you know what I mean? And you don't slouch, so I'm trying to play as upright as I can. So obviously, the techniques I'm doing now is still kind of like finding myself. I don't know if that's the proper verbiage, and I hope you didn't get any bad visuals. But anyway, that's your problem, not mine. But the thing is finding the techniques I want to use or whatever. And I do find that I'm kind of moving between the French grip, the American grip, and the German grip. The trad grip, I just can't really seem to work it with the setup I got. I'd have to be set up slightly different. The idea is to play as upright as I can, as relaxed as I can right from the get-go, which, increase speeds and stuff like that. And as my coordination gets better, the big one is working my foot. Like this month coming, I don't want to just be going boom, 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 like just to get myself going and sometimes just to get a beat going. Yeah, just keep it on the beat, whatever. It's nice and easy. But I do want to get really crazy technical with the foot, which is a crazy thing because how do you do fundamentals on a foot when there's only one, right? One beater. When there's 2 beaters, yeah, you could actually practice the fundamentals. I can't imagine what it's like to do 9s and 11s on the, or 6ths on the bass drum with a double pedal. I imagine that's pretty masochistic to learn how to do, but it would sound pretty cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, so like getting the coordination down, that takes time. But as long as I can get beats down. Now that said, beats are getting better. I'm now on I think my 3rd song that I've recorded with this. I got about 4 songs ready to go. 1 song ready to go. And 2 drum tracks that I recorded yesterday. So basically what that gives me, that's why there's freaking fingerprints all over me. It was me. It was me that put the fingerprints on the darn thing. But look at that though. Don't you just want it? Yeah. Anyway, but the point is that I did notice that I kind of lost my train of thought there. That when I use my foot, right? That like any beginner, what tends to happen is you're trying to concentrate between timing off the bass drum or timing off the hi-hat or something else. So it seems like I start my timing on the bass drum, but then my hand takes over and then it throws the bass drum out a bit. You know what I mean? Or you're kind of like, you get concentrated on the hands and it's like, oh, my foot stopped. you know what I mean? So it takes a while before that muscle memory just takes over, right? And, but that's like anything. So moving forward for next month, my 2nd month, obviously I'm going to keep recording and you're going to hear me progressively get better. Rolls and fills. Yes, I'm sloppy as hell because, I'm new at it. Right. And, I listen how to like some of these really tight drummers, like I'll use Nizo from Frozen Crown. I love that kid. That kid, he plays basically a 4-piece kit, but he sounds so freaking advanced. His fills are just completely seamless, right? And he's basically, in my opinion, a speed metal drummer, right? It's just the minimalistic kit. Yeah, he's got a about 4 or 5 cymbals or whatever, but it's just cool to listen to this kid go. And it's how smooth he can go from the tight beat into the. Now, mind you, I know they clean a lot of stuff up in the studio, but you have to naturally be good enough to do it. And you could tell that when he's playing, he's not even thinking about his fills. They just happen, right? So obviously when you're new, that's not going to happen right away. It's kind of like, when you're learning guitar and your first few guitar solos sound really forced, right? Well, same with the fills. They sound really forced right now. So I'm trying to get them a little bit more fluid or whatever, but that takes time. And again, I'll probably tweak the kit again, but getting back to so I recorded a song called, it's my Metal in Your Face series. They're goofy, they're funny. The idea is not to take it too seriously, but whatever. And I know they're really sloppy right now, but whatever. But they're going to get really good as I go. So the first one was called Right Hand Path. And it was the first recording of the drums. I just wanted to throw something together just so I could say I'd done it. Break that cherry kind of thing and make sure I've recorded with. Because that's ultimately why I bought these things. Now, that said, as I record on my BR1200, which is hiding under the bag there, it just keep the dust off of it and stuff like that. I do have a compressor on that, and I do have reverb and stuff like that I can put on there. EQing, I can basically get some pretty good sounds out of these acoustic drums, even with the SM58 and the SM57. Ideally, I think 2 SM57s would be a better, but it's just, this is what I have. Work with what you got. Figuring out where to the Tama snare I have there has no problem cutting through, so I don't even have to point these mics at the snare to get the sound. I find, like everything, the bass drum is the one that kind of like gets drowned out in the mix. But I've also found that with recording with the drums too, not only do you hear your sloppiness and your mistakes or whatever, but that you can also hear things about your drum kit. Like when you're playing, sometimes you're so in the moment of playing that you don't hear how your drums actually sound. You know what I mean? And of course, if you're wearing the hearing protection, although it sounds really cool with the hearing, it makes takes all the high frequencies off and makes it sound heavier, right? But what I also noticed too is that when I'm recording the drums, and again, I'm sure I'm going to change it around as I go, but that I'm finding like moving the mics around certain areas and just going with, some preliminary, good here start at this point and work way around, that I'm going to find sweet spots on the drums to get better drum sounds anyway. So in the mix, there was the song I just finished with, it's Metal in Your Face, Release the Berserker. So I gotta film the video, which is going to be really stupid and funny. First, it's a bit better than the first recording, but it's still, I go out a few times because I still haven't found a way to record with the metronome yet. So by timing will stay on. But you can hear, it's about 10 times better than the first recording. So my next recording, which should be even better, which will be the Mighty 8. Yeah, the Mighty 8, which will be featuring my, black hole of dark sounding 8-string guitar. So it's going to be a fun song. Then after that, it's going to be either Highway Machine or Road Machine. I'm not sure, something along that. It's going to feature my motorcycles, so which is also green, got green flames on it. I should put the drum kit right beside my motorbike. That'd be really cool. But anyway, long story short, the 1 month progress, I think I made a lot of progress in 1 month. In 6 months, a year, ask me that same question. How much progress do you think you made in the first month? I'll be like, this much today, but in 6 months, I'll be like that much. So that's the fun thing about learning an instrument, is that it's a lifelong learning curve, but it's also the enjoyment of, not knowing what you don't even know, and discovering that. So the nice thing about this day and age, picking up an instrument in this day and age, and I've already, what am I doing for time here? I'll wrap it up pretty soon. Nice thing about learning an instrument in this day and age is that you get out of the gate a lot quicker. So things that, I'm glad I'm learning, proper techniques right from the get-go. So that, and people are critiquing me and whatever. And if somebody tells me, one thing I ask in the comments, if you're going to say, oh, you're doing it wrong, that's fine, but tell me why I'm doing it wrong, or whatever, or if you have better suggestions, because that's how you correct people's mistakes so that they don't injure themselves. That's all I care about is, I don't care about how good I get. I care about, because if I injure myself on the drums, playing wise, right, and I end up with repetitive injuries, that could end my guitar playing. You know what I mean? So, carpal tunnel is carpal tunnel, right? So I really don't want that. Because I do all kinds of, repetitive motion stuff, and my back, my back feels it all the time. But I use like chainsaws and whippersnippers and, overhead stuff like that, a lot of heavy hammers, moving scrap metal. I do all kinds of grunt work like that, and it's really hard not to strain yourself and end up with, anything where you have to grapple, right? Is always bad for you. So staying loose and limber and all that stuff, But anyway, I'm going to leave it at about that. So today is 1 month that I've had my drum kit. Pretty happy with it. I'll have this thing for years and years and years and years and years. If I ever do upgrade, it'll be like how do you upgrade from this kind of? The only thing I would like is if, and I'll have to contact Mapex about this, but I would love to have that third tom, once I get this paid down a bit, to have that third tom and a second floor tom for this exact kit. That would be the best. But problem is this is a one-off kit. I don't know how many kits they actually made. I'll have to contact Mapex